PowerWF Studio Product Overview. So why automate? Automation focuses on streamlining and optimizing key processes. Automation drives value to the organization and its customers. Its goals are to reduce costs and improve efficiencies within the organization. Automation also allows you to deal with complexity in a predictable and repeatable manner. While there have been several different approaches to automate your environment, the two largest camps are probably scripts and runbook automation. Scripts are the most common form of automation. Their adoption is driven by the fact they are readily available, general purpose, and at a low cost. Thus, they tend to spread virally throughout the organization. Runbook automation is a recent trend of formalized automation in the enterprise. Instead of using traditional text scripts, visual workflows are used to describe the business process. Workflows are self-documenting, easy to modify, and allow admins to cross IT disciplines. Enterprise RBA platforms enhance workflow with management, auditing, security, and fault tolerance. Contrary to scripts, RBA solutions, due to cost, tend to be sold at the CI level and dictated down. This often leads to resistance and a lack of adoption throughout the enterprise, since no one tool can meet everyone's need. The net result is data centers will probably be orchestrated by RBA, but scripts will continue to prevail. The challenge of automation is to encapsulate the working knowledge of your staff into a single repeatable task. However, the stakeholders tend to have different priorities and speak different languages. First, you have the developer. The developer is very technical, familiar with programming languages and APIs required to automate a system. And while they know how to automate, they often are not concerned with operational requirements. Then you have the domain experts. The domain experts are your DBAs, network administrators, or virtualization experts. Domain experts over the years have built a rich set of best practices, but lack the time and/or programming skills to implement them. In short, they know what needs to be automated. They just need help doing it. And finally, you have the consumer. The consumer could be a system admin that needs to orchestrate across various IP disciplines, or it could be a third-party application such as an RBA solution or System Center, which requires automation to perform a particular task. For example, provision a new user. The key here is to leverage the skill set of developer and domain experts to implement best practices that the entire organization can benefit from. So there's this trade-off. The best scripters possess API knowledge to write PowerShell scripts for the domain experts, but lack the business knowledge and deep understanding that the domain experts possess. The domain experts understand basic scripting principles, but the real value is their deep understanding of the business process and best practices. PowerWF allows each expert to stay in their comfort zone by letting the scripters work in PowerShell to share their work with the domain experts. The domain experts can then easily consume the PowerShell scripts and extend them using a workflow paradigm. The combination of PowerShell and workflow is what allows IT organizations to leverage their existing staff to meet today's challenges. So what is PowerShell? PowerShell is an extensible automation engine from Microsoft. PowerShell has several key features that make it a perfect choice for automation. It's incredibly powerful. Users can accomplish in a few lines of PowerShell what used to take hundreds of lines of traditional script. It provides access to all .NET facilities and extensive industry support to automate systems from both Microsoft and third-party vendors like VMware. It has an active community providing excellent resources for sample scripts and helpful suggestions. However, scripts tend to be static and thus can be cumbersome to modify to meet your changing needs. When developing a script, they tend to be granular and not the business process level. And finally, they require .NET programming knowledge to really excel. A workflow is a visual representation of a business process, similar to a flowchart. Workflows are self-documented since they represent your business process in a visual manner. They are constructed using simple drag-and-drop operations and are easily modified to reflect changes in the operations or environment. Building workflows, the user tends to think about the problem at a higher level, or at the process level versus lines of code in traditional scripting. Therefore, they tend to think about what they want to do versus how to do it. However, traditional workflows do have their pitfalls. A higher level of abstraction can make low-level operations such as string manipulation somewhat cumbersome. In addition, workflow technologies is still emerging and lacks the robust vendor and community support found in PowerShell. By combining PowerShell with workflow technology, you get the best of both worlds. Think visual PowerShell. You get all the strengths of PowerShell with an easy-to-use drag-and-drop interface. Breadth of coverage. If you can automate in PowerShell, you can use it within PowerWF. PowerWF provides a low barrier of entry for non-programmers. Drag-and-drop interface, coupled with integrated help and examples, help users get going quickly. Domain experts are able to visualize their business practices and allow them to think about what they want, not how to accomplish it. Dynamic scripts. With a few clicks of the mouse, you can modify your workflow to meet your ever-changing needs. Your developers can continue using PowerShell, but your domain experts can now interact with them. The key to PowerWF is leveraging the skill sets of the developer and domain experts to implement best practices the entire organization could benefit from. And it's a two-way street. Scripters and administrators can now leverage each other's skill. So how does PowerWF work? Each time PowerWF is started, it automatically discovers the PowerShell modules on your system, including custom, built, and third-party modules. Each command is instantly available for building workflows. Even the help and examples are important, which makes it easy to learn PowerShell. PowerWF lets you visualize your scripts and business logic using simple drag-in operations to create your workflows. Visual scripts can easily be understood and explained to both technical and non-technical stakeholders. They're also easy to troubleshoot and modify whether you're the author of the script or not. PowerWF can even import existing PowerShell scripts and convert them to workflow to visually explain to a non-technical person. Because PowerWF uses a workflow paradigm, it is very easy for non-scripters to extend the scripts written by others, adding specific business logic and best practices. And since PowerWF is closely tied to PowerShell, these users can lean on the more savvy PowerShell developers whenever they are struggling with their workflow. Integration is the real key. PowerShell users want everything to be in PowerShell. Non-scripters want to click an icon or have the thing run on a schedule. Upper management wants critical process to be handled by an RBA solution. PowerWF does a great job of satisfying all these users. Workflows can be deployed as PowerShell modules for PowerShell developers or as a window application for non-scripters. Workflows can be deployed as an agent and run on a schedule or deployed to a number of third-party applications. In addition, workflows can be imported into an enterprise RBA solution. I mentioned that PowerWF can export workflows to PowerShell modules, so they can be reused as PowerShell scripts. But earlier I said that PowerWF automatically discovers the PowerShell modules on your system. That means that workflows can be reused as building blocks for other workflows. This is an incredibly powerful concept. Workflows built using other workflows, each level hiding the complexity of the previous level. Let's walk through the process. The PowerShell experts create building blocks of your IT automation. Using their favorite IDE, they create a series of scripts and export them as PowerShell modules. These modules can then be brought into PowerWF where the domain expert can extend them with best practices and business logic. These workflows can then be reused by the system administrator to orchestrate across multiple domains. And finally, the workflows can be deployed as an application for end users or integrated with enterprise RBA solutions. Now let's look at a specific example. At the lowest possible level, your Exchange administrator is using their technical expertise in PowerShell commandlets provided by Microsoft and Quest to build a workflow to create a mailbox. Likewise, your virtualization administrator using their knowledge of VMware and PowerCLI commandlets to build a workflow that creates a new virtual machine. Each of these workflows can then be deployed as a PowerShell module that PowerWF can use. This lets a third administrator to do cross-domain orchestration, in this case provision a new user by creating a new mailbox and a virtual machine. In this case, the system administrator doesn't need to understand the specifics of these workflows. They just drag and drop them onto a new workflow. Now imagine what happens when each administrator is building a set of libraries of best practice for their area of expertise. It becomes very easy to leverage the strengths of everyone in the organization to orchestrate across all these domains. Thank you for your time. To learn more, please visit our website, powerwf.com.